We're going to continue reading about Ra, the god of radiance. And as we're reading, we're going to answer this focus question. How did Egyptian mythology explain how the gods were created? So right now, we're collecting evidence about how the gods were created. Let's go back to page 2 to review. 1a asks us, who is Ra? I'm going to go back to what I underlined on page 2. I know that Ra was the first god. Ra was the first god who was created. And I know that it says, his voice, for in his voice lay all creation. He must create. He must never stop creating. That lets me know that Ra was the first god and he is the god of creation. He's going to create everything. And I can even include this quote from the text at the bottom of page 2. He must create. He must never stop creating. Press pause to silently write down who Ra is and the quote from page 2. Next, we have 1b. Why is he significant in Egyptian culture? Well, if Ra is the god of creation, that means he created everything after himself. He's significant because he created all the other gods, humans, and land. Without Ra, nothing would have been created in Egyptian culture. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for 2a. Now I'm going to continue reading on page 3. We're collecting evidence for how were Tefnut and Shu created. Make sure you underline how Tefnut and Shu were created. Ra spat, and the moisture from within him formed the goddess Tefnut, and the breathy force that propelled that moisture formed the god Shu, the products of his new mouth, his new lungs. So let's go back. You need to underline these sentences. We know that Tefnut was created from Ra's breath, and Shu was created from Ra's spit. Silently write that down in 2a. Tefnut was created from Ra's breath, and Shu was created from Ra's spit. Let's keep reading to figure out why 3 is significant or important. So there were 3 of them now. 3 deities, or gods, distinct from the vast wallow of none. So that means there was none, which was the water, Ra, Tefnut, and Shu. Those were the only things that existed. It felt wonderful to be a triad. It felt sturdy, invincible even. With 3 backs together, you could face everything at once. With 3, you could explore the 3 dimensions simultaneously. Though there was no music yet, though there were no colors yet, Ra sensed the possibilities of 3 at some level he was not ready to understand. Okay, so let's think about this paragraph and what the author says about the significance of 3. It says 3 felt sturdy and invincible. Underline that. With 3 backs together, you could face everything at once. Underline that. You could face everything at once. With 3, you could explore the dimensions. Underline that. So let's go to our answer for 2b. What's the significance of 3? Well, because there were 3 gods, silently write this down, because there were 3 gods, they felt sturdy and invincible. They felt like they could face everything at once. And they felt like they could explore the world together. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. Let's keep reading on page 3. But even more than the possibilities was the reality. Life mattered, and being a father mattered. Ra rejoiced in his creation. He rejoiced in his creation of his daughter and son. It was a good beginning. Ah, what water had yielded. Ah, indeed. So he's saying that all of this had come out of the water, and now Ra was a proud father. Let's keep reading. Shu and Tefnut, these royal children, played constantly. They stalked each other and pounced and wrestled. Okay, so this is a picture of the three of them together. Ra and Shu and Tefnut. Let's go to 3a. How does the author describe Ra's relationship with Tefnut and Shu? And again, I didn't give you lines here, so you can just write it in this blank space underneath 3b. How does the author describe Ra's relationship with Tefnut and Shu? Well, we already know that Ra is a proud father on page 3. He's proud of them. Let's read more to collect evidence about his relationship with Tefnut and Shu. Shu and Tefnut, these royal children, played constantly. They stalked each other and pounced and wrestled. They rolled around and swatted each other. They were like lion cubs, and Ra was like a huge, patient father, posing contentedly as they chased his tail and combed his mane. Though, of course, there were no lions yet, there was only Shu and Tefnut and Ra, and the vast spreading nun around the island the triad roamed. Let's go back and find a sentence in this paragraph that describes Ra's relationship with Tefnut and Shu. And I'm looking back at this sentence that at the top of page 4 that says they were like lion cubs, and Ra was like a huge, patient lion father, posing contentedly as they chased his tail and combed his mane. So we know that Ra was a patient father, and Tefnut and Shu were playful. They liked to play together as brother and sister. Silently write that down for 3a. Ra was a patient father, and Tefnut and Shu were like lion cubs who played together as brother and sister. And then 3b asks us to think about how comparing Tefnut and Shu to lion cubs and Ra to this patient lion father, how does that affect the reader's understanding? And this lets me know that they're a happy family. But also, lions are said to be king of the jungle. And so it's not only that they're a happy family, but they're also a royal family because they are the first of creation. So 2 things you need to write down for 3b. The author compares Ra to a lion father and Tefnut and Shu to playful lion cubs, period. This helps the reader understand that they are a happy family and a royal family. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for box 4. And then we're thinking, what role did Ra play in Egyptian mythology? What role does he play? So we're thinking, think about Ra as the first god who created all the other gods. And I want you to think about how without him, no one else would have been created. Okay, and so when you're thinking about what role he plays in Egyptian mythology, you should think Ra is the creator of life, of all life. And so he plays this role as the ultimate god or the ultimate being in Egyptian mythology. No one is more powerful than him because he was created first. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for 4b. It says, based on this information, what conclusions can you draw about how the Egyptians viewed Ra? So if Ra created everything if he created all of life, the Egyptians probably thought of him very highly. They probably had a lot of respect for him. And they probably wanted to do things that honored him. So write down your answer for 4B. If Ra created everything, the Egyptians probably had a lot of respect for him, and they wanted to do things that would honor him. And when you're finished, go ahead and complete your paragraph. How does Egyptian mythology explain how the gods were created? And after you complete this paragraph, then you need to complete your exit ticket.